Wow.
Tighten up up there.
I don't know. Maybe it should just, hold itself up. It's withering. Oh no, we haven't. I don't know. You know what? Come on, Cynthia. You just
There it is.
You just use mine.
I think it's staying.
Okay, good.
Oh, good. This is good. Okay, I'll forget about it after a while.
Just don't know what it
Okay. Okay, I have to admit that at this time period in my life, I'm not happy with America's teachers. They've taken away recess for kids. They've taken out civics. And of course, there's always really bad teachers who like to tell the children that they're stupid. I had my brother complain that his teachers would tell him he was stupid. And when I worked at Miami-Dade Community College, many of my students told me that their teachers had said that to them. So I think they've been redressed in a lot of their duties because we would not have such a huge portion of the population bamboozled by a thief and a rapist. So I'm going to give the more amusing stories of lies the teachers told us children in school. Let's begin with kindergarten, where at Thanksgiving, all the little girls dress as pilgrims, and all the little boys dress as Indians. That's what we called it then, rather than indigenous Americans. And that's just a really horrible statement. And, part of that lie is the pilgrims were not good people. They tell us how they fled England in the persecution against their religion. Well, they had lived in Holland first, which was really tolerant of them. And those people in Holland, well, they were just too liberal and tolerant. They didn't like that. So they went to England, where the English weren't that tolerant to them. So, what goes around comes around. So then they came here. And even though we have this wonderful story of Thanksgiving feast, and we still celebrate it in the spirit of people coming together, this second Thanksgiving is a horror story. Let's just leave it at there. I always wanted to be an Indian. They wouldn't let me be an Indian at Thanksgiving. I had to be a pilgrim. And yeah, I like dresses, but I'm sure indigenous women had dresses too. Okay, so there's one line. Okay, and then my family moved to another town, so went to school, and that first year there, or the second year, they had Flag Day. And there was going to be, we would all go out to the flag, and kid would give a speech. So I went to my teacher, and I said, I'd like to give the speech. Oh no, only a boy can give the speech on Flag Day. Anyway, but that teacher, who I hated for good reason, because of spelling, which I can't do, but now I can. She did two good things. She recommended Pippi Longstockings, which I never got to read for myself because our local library said, no, we have no Pippi Longstockings. But she also recommended that of these little books that we could buy every 2 weeks, that we buy the story of Harriet Tubman. So I bought that. And you might think that's a little weird that someone who looks like me found a role model in Harriet Tubman. It was the first time I read about a real woman who was a real hero. And suddenly, to me, that's something women can be. I hadn't known that before. So then we move into 4th grade. And our teacher, Miss Lister, who's our size, we're 9 years old and 10, told us that we were going to make these big paper mache dinosaurs and stuff, some of which she had hanging on the ceiling, and I was like, cool. But I don't know if that ever happened, because in January my family left to go to live in London, England, for 8 months because my father had a sabbatical leave. But she said another thing, besides we want to make these wonderful dinosaurs, was that if we were badly behaved, she would paddle us. And she had an enormous paddle hanging on the wall by the blackboard. And she pointed to it, and this paddle was about the size she was, and she was about the size we were. So this was a truly terrifying Well, we finally get into December, and we children are all very happy and excited because we're about to go on Christmas break, you know, and get presents from Santa Claus and all these wonderful things. And I was especially happy because not only would, you know, there was going to be Christmas, but then I was going to be going to London, so I was really excited. So we had some of our coursework in one room and the rest of our coursework in another room. And when we were switching from rooms, everybody was talking very happily, chatting out loud. And as I went through the door between the two rooms, I was so excited by the exuberance of everyone that I went, "Ooh!" And Miss Lister said, "Who did that?" I did not admit to it. I kept my mouth shut. She looked at everyone. Surely my guilty expression would have given it away, but no one flinked on me. I did not admit it. So I'm going to skip ahead quite a bit to high school, because that was the time of busing. And Natick, Massachusetts, where I went to high school, was one of those suburban towns where the inner-city black students were bused. And you might think, or people might have told you that busing and the integration was a smooth thing, and that, you know, it did work well if it was really implemented, but it wasn't smooth, okay? The black students who were sent to my school, okay, were hidden. You came in the front entrance way, and then if you went down a little hallway, there was the cafeteria. But between that foyer and the cafeteria, there was a white wall with a white door that nobody ever paid any attention to, because we didn't think it was a classroom, because most of our classroom doors were just wood, with a window so you could see inside. This wasn't like that. This is where they were put. They didn't come to our classes. They had some of our teachers, but they didn't come to our classes. They were hidden there. And there was one of the fabulous teachers, Mrs. Tartikoff, went back to college to get a PhD in Black Studies, in American Black History. And so she offered a course. Oop, I better hurry. She offered a course in Black Studies. And so the town voted, and the school board voted for having the Black Studies course. And in Massachusetts, you had to have 4 years of history, otherwise you couldn't graduate. But when everybody went on vacation that summer, the school board decided, okay, they're gone, and they rescinded it, thinking nobody would care. Well, people did care, and the town turned out, and they were very upset, because suddenly their kids, like my brother, weren't going to be able to graduate because they couldn't fulfill their history requirement because they just nixed this course. And of course, the Unitarian minister came and said this was a big sin, and this is an all-white town trying to have a Black history course. And my father went, my mother went. My father read the syllabus. He said, you know, if they're objecting, there has to be a reason. And he read this whole syllabus to the crowds. And they were all saying, oh, Mr. Clay, please sit down. Oh, it's boring, put it down. He said, no, there's got to be something here. And by reading it aloud, he proved there's nothing. This is a history course. That's it. So by that public pressure, they were forced to have the Black history course, and I got to take it later. But in town hall, my parents were called communists for advocating for this. That was a really bad thing at the time. So lots of stuff was hidden, and I wanted to tell you about George Washington, the two big lies there. I'll be really quick.
Oh, I know.
All right,
I hate to do it to you.
I'll say it as I walk, and I walk slowly, and I'll just protect as I go. Okay. We were all told how George Washington was so honest that when he chopped down his father's cherry tree, he said, oh, Father, I can't lie. Yes, I chopped down your cherry tree. And we were also told by George Washington, lie number 2, that his teeth were wood. Big lie. Just found that out like this past year, and I wanted to puke. expressive instead of an honest little boy of, yeah, I chopped down the cherry tree.